moderate in today's Democratic Party would have been a far left liberal 25 years ago. So
I think it would be a big mistake to go far left. I think Newsom, I would put Newsom in that category.
I mean, he just called a female journalist piggy. And, you know, in fact, actually, the story took a couple of days to bubble up. Big warning lights for the GOP, as we were discussing at the top of the hour. A brand new Axios poll shows Democrats are surging on the generic midterm ballot. Polls can be wrong. They certainly got it wrong in 2024, but they are up a hefty 8 points. That would be their biggest lead in nearly a decade. Alex and Jim are still with me. Alex, you know, the Democrats have had a rough few months. They're leaderless, they're rudderless, they can't decide whether they're going to go for America's toxic boyfriend in California, Gavin Newsom, or go down the crazy socialist route, or try and...
Or Fang Fang's boyfriend, Eric Swalwell, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's...
Or, see if they can find some more deep state former CIA agents to run as moderates in rural America. It's... On paper, they are all over the shop. But I think the reaction to the presidency and the reaction to the Republicans, the reaction to the shutdown, seems to mean they're getting some natural churn just anyway. Right?
Yeah, I think that polling is always kind of beneficial for the party not in power at this point. But I'm going to wait and see. Yeah. Because I'm one of those that tends to not always believe the polls, especially this early. I think look at what happened, especially in New Jersey. There seemed to be neck and neck polling within the margin of error. I was told that everybody in the Republican side felt really good, like New Jersey was going to happen. It didn't. To your point about the party and a leader, I have to say, I think it could be the New York City mayor, Mamdani. That is the new
He's
Democratic.
Articulate, he's good looking.
And he's charismatic.
That's a model that's worked before for the Democrats.
Yes, it is. And sometimes I think that wing of the party, and it's kind of curious because really with the popular vote in 2024, it felt like the country was moving more towards the center to the right. And then you have the Democratic Party with their leadership now, or the loudest people at least, moving further to the left. Yeah. It's like they're not kind of in tune with what the popular vote was. I'm not really sure how that will play out when it comes to the midterms or even,
we've seen this movie play out in Britain, and shift to the hard left can be, it can cause sort of excitement and cheers at music festivals and young people, sharing TikToks and dancing in the streets. But actually, when it gets to the crunch of things and it gets to the ballot box, it ends up with a historical defeat, Jim. That shift to the left, it might make them, the sugar rush of it might make the Democrats feel better. They might even win big in cities, coastal cities, fine. Places that already voted for them anyway. Yeah. How's Mamdani going to go down with, the good people of Mississippi?
Probably not very well. The thing is, when we talk so much when a party loses the election about how much they need to change and all of the things that they need to fix, and that's true to an extent, but in the last 25 years, all either party needs to do when they lose an election is wait for the other party to get into power and screw it up. And the elections are so close now that a shift of 3 points to the left or the right really makes a very dramatic difference in what these election results look like. So that's going to be the problem, I think, for Trump and the Republicans. Yes, I think having people like Mamdani emerging as the future of the Democratic Party is frightening, and it's something that they can use to their advantage. And Mamdani actually having to govern a major city, not just campaign and give speeches, but it's really hard. It's really hard to fix inflation, number one. And number two, it's really hard for the party in power to gain in midterm elections, especially when you're the party of the low propensity voters. Democrats will show up to vote in dog catcher elections if it protests Trump. They'll climb over glass, broken glass, to vote against Trump. Trump's voters maybe only want to vote for him. It takes a lot more to motivate them to turn out.
How do you think Mamdani and Trump are going to get on? There's been suggestions that the White House might veto his security clearance, which would be pretty petty, I think. I mean, at the same time, game respects game, right? The guy, Donald Trump loves New York. He keeps it's the first. New York Post is the first newspaper he opens every single morning. He's obviously following this stuff very closely. At some point, they're going to have to meet. What do you think that's going to be like? Do you think there's going to be? It could be a weird sort of, not bromance as such, but there could be a there could be some. These are big players in their big party.
I mean, I think it'll be like all politicians. They'll be nice to each other to their face, and then they'll get. We'll have to watch it all unfold on X how they really feel. I think that the best playbook for Republicans for the upcoming elections is what's going to happen in New York City with Mamdani. You brought up, how would he play in Mississippi? I'm thinking more like your swing states, right? Let's talk about Georgia. I'm pretty confident they don't want government-run grocery stores there, right? I think that that's going to be the Republicans' playbook to see what New York looks like, what happens. Same thing that they do out in California. And we'll have to see what happens with that governor race, too.
Indeed. The Democrats do, though, seem already kind of slightly hostage to the left's fortune. There was some of their biggest sort of voices were furious with the leadership, Jim, for saying the quiet part out loud, essentially, that they climbed down on shutdown, which would prove the whole point. It was them that was causing it all along. Yeah. Bernie's encouraging AOC to run. AOC's sort of showing some ankle run. Barack Obama's ringing up Mamdani. He didn't quite endorse him, but he did offer his, services and advice and friendly sort of hand before it. The left have already taken over the shop, right? It's just the fact that has anyone actually realised it yet? I
mean, the left is the activist base. Yeah. The left is their younger generation of elected officials.
Even the so-called moderate in the Virginia governor race, who ended up winning, still couldn't define what a man was, and still was, essentially at the debates they should happily let men into children's female dressing rooms.
100%. A moderate in today's Democratic Party would have been a far left liberal 25 years ago. So. Yeah, the left has really won the war here, the ideological war for control of the Democratic Party. There's a little bit of pushback from some of the Democratic donor class, but not much. And so, and I think as long as they see encouraging poll numbers, they see things like this year's elections going well for them, there's no reason to back off. They were contemplating maybe backing off after losing to Trump a second time, which is always psychologically very damaging to Democrats. But if they think they've got the upper hand, full speed ahead to the left.
The first sort of polls for 2028 are out, Alex, and it does have Newsom. I mean, he was on about 29%, I think. Not comprehensive. Kamala Harris is still polling 14%. Is it Newsom's to lose, or is there a sort of dark horse, do you think, that could come riding over the hill to their rescue?
I think that everybody talks mostly about Newsom, but it's still early. I know there's a lot of people that talk about wanting someone a little more moderate. The governor of, is it Maryland? Somebody's been talking about, there's some Midwestern people too.
Kentucky.
Some of the maybe Andy Bashir, is that who it is?
Bashir.
Yeah, so there's been some people trying to throw that out at Democrats even, recognizing that could play better come what we're talking about with the popular vote, what we saw in 2024 happen. I think it would be a big mistake to go far left. I think I would put Newsom in that category, but I don't know if the Democrats themselves would.
Clear a lot of his baggage, a lot of his COVID baggage. He's trying to clear a lot of his wokey stances off the thing. I think Rahm Emanuel, that's the one I want to watch. Right. that would be entertaining and certainly very sweary. Now look, I want to play a clip of what Donald Trump said on Air Force One when he was having a small interaction with a Bloomberg journalist. Let's play the tape.
Sir, is there something incriminating in the file, sir? Quiet.
Alex, if a man, whoever he is, said to you, "Quiet, piggy," you'd kick him in the nuts. I
think I asked you guys, I was like, is she overweight? I mean, I couldn't see who it was, but that's instantly what I would think. It's a little off-putting, but it's also President Trump and the way he treats the press. I guess it's just kind of no surprise, right? Just kind of like
used to
every day.
He used to do this. For 2015, 2016 Trump, a gaffe like that would have had wall-to-wall network coverage. CNN would be in meltdown. MSNBC would be doing days of it. I mean, he just called a female journalist piggy. And, in fact, actually, the story took a couple of days to bubble up. That was at the weekend. And it's only really now in the last sort of 24 hours that it's actually broken through. The president, look, he had another go at someone yesterday in the Oval Office, an ABC journalist, for not being sort of subservient, for being badly behaved. He really just, he's not seeking re-election anymore, is he? He just doesn't give a monkey's.
Yeah, and also to the point, I'm sure you might chime in here too, is he does not have a great relationship with legacy media. He didn't need them. And I think that that's the most, one of the biggest stories out of the 2024 election was he was
the
fine.
U.S. media needs Donald Trump.
That's the story.
To the extent that he has a relationship with them, the adversarial relationship benefits him. And so his supporters like when he talks like this.
Yeah.
And they're not super offended by him talking
I think
like
some
that.
female voters, might take some issue with it.
And some swing voters,
he needs to
suburban swing
do better
voters
with
in
those
general.
female voters.
Yes, but the pearl clutching that people do about it, he's said and done so many other things.
Yeah.
John McCain comes to mind.
This can't possibly be your breaking point.
That's the point. Like, if you know, he's been through 3 elections now. 2. He says he won 3. He definitely won 2.
Right.
You know, if this is what surprised you, nothing should surprise you with this ban anymore, right?
No, and I think that was a very good point. Like, this is the Republican base loves to see that. They love to see whether it's President Trump or possibly J.D. Vance. I mean, we've seen him kind of get.
Well, he's skillful at that himself.
He snapped.
Yes.
Who did he snap at the other day? He called people cowards and traitors and snivelling cowards that have been attacking his staff. Do you think Do you think he? You know, there's something about President Trump there. I know it's an awful thing to say, but he's very funny. Like when he does do it, it's just often just the right side of amusing to get away with it. He's like a kind of naughty schoolboy that you can't quite get angry.
As long as you have a personality, I think.
Whereas
There's
J.D.
a lot
Vance,
in the press that don't.
I worry, you know, with J.D. Vance have that same sort of comic timing beat and sort of glint in his eye that actually you can't quite stay mad at him forever.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of it depends how they deliver it, right? And I think we're used to seeing President Trump say things like this. That's part of his personality. I don't necessarily think we are used to seeing J.D. Vance like that. So maybe the more we see him, maybe it would go over better. But you know, I don't. If he was the one that said it, I think it would have been there'd be way more pushback than we've seen so far.
Verbally, he likes to operate on a higher plane.
He's a bit sort of intellectual. He likes to write sort of 1,000 word.
His X account, like he'll do the 1,000-word tweet, but he might stick an insult in the first line or call you a name. But it's a little different than when Trump does it. Maybe a little more rarefied, but.
Do you think we'll see, as that sort of, we don't ever say these words in the White House, I hear, but as he becomes more of a lame duck, will we see? You think we'll see him a bit more unleashed?
I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever be a lame duck. I think once he's out of the White House, if he's having to go along the campaign trail to make sure the next, MAGA crown carries on, I think we're going to hear even more from him. It could be even more wild.
An attack dog, lame duck.